I don't believe what I just saw.
This is one of the great moments in the history of baseball.
You believe in miracles? Yes!
Is this the dagger?
It's May 7th, sports fans. On this date in 1824, Ludwig van Beethoven's Ninth and Final Symphony had its world premiere in Vienna, Austria. Now, I don't want to overhype this episode of TDIS, but we may well have another masterpiece making its world premiere here today in Mississauga. In this episode, the Lakers finally get over the hump. Reggie Miller officially makes himself the most hated man in New York. Barry Bonds breaks baseball statistics again. Craig Elo's most famous moment. Way more Kentucky Derby content than maybe ever before. Claude Lemieux takes getting hated in the playoffs to a new level. And the Yankees and the Dodgers pay tribute to a legend. Those are the big crescendos, but there are plenty of magical little flourishes in store for you too. We're hitting all the right notes today, and I promise you'll remember exactly where you were when you first heard today's episode of This Day in Sports.
Wow. I always know what kind of week you've been having when you write those, you know?
Yeah.
Because you really put a lot of effort into this, you know? I think you've been in a pretty good mood this week. I feel like this feels like a good mood this week. What do you think?
He does not like feedback on the intro, Sandy.
I hate it.
He would enjoy if
Every
we just
time I do
plowed
this,
through.
I like work at it all week, and then YouTube.
There you go.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, that was okay.
Worked at it all week. I knew you were in a good mood.
I know. I would
this
prefer
is a
that
masterpiece.
I would prefer that we just move on with the program.
Yeah, I mean, program. Well, listen, I'm excited for this masterpiece in Mississauga.
Yeah.
And this, I'll tell you, speaking of masterpieces in Mississauga, Port Credit considered Mississauga, Frank?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Perfect, because we are here in Mississauga, Port Credit. And this is Cabin. This is Cattle's. Cabin's Gentleman's Supply. You know, this is the place to be to get your hair cut, get your beard trimmed. This is a place to go to feel great about yourself. Spruce yourself up, maybe even, Frank. They say spruce yourself up in Mississauga? Spruce them up, yeah. This is it. This is Barbershop, Gentleman's Supply, Cabin. Fantastic place to be anytime, especially when there's three dudes on leather couches and giant chairs.
Oh, boy.
And
To be clear, not in leather.
and then
If you're not watching.
but then Frank back there chilling at his table. You know, that's the perfect setup back here.
Frank is wearing all leather.
Frank is wearing all leather.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going for a new sponsorship today.
Oh.
This is Cock Puncher, brought to us by Indie Ale House Brewing. Indie Ale House Brewing, a great way to get your cock punched.
You know,
I take back the masterpiece.
Hey, I'm just trying to get some more sponsorship. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Fair enough.
Remind people to like and subscribe.
Thank you,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you so much, Frank. They have to like, subscribe, because we want to get more listenership,
Yes.
viewership on YouTube, of course.
Frank is tired of working for losers.
That's right.
He wants this thing to take off.
Frank is using this as a portal to get him into a better job.
Yes.
So if we can do this for Frank, get him some folks listening,
Frank outta here.
watching. Get Frank the hell out of here.
yeah.
I
And get
mean-
us some hats.
Yeah, listen.
On the way out.
Cabinforlife.ca is the place to go to check out what's going on here. But Matt, you're right. What's going on here is we need our cabin hats.
We need cabin hats, but there's a lot of great stuff here, Sandy. What
Yeah.
what else can you get at cabin?
I mean, you can get a belt. You
Okay.
can get a belt buckle.
That's enough.
You can,
Yep.
you know, that's all? Okay, good enough. That's good. That's fair enough.
And a wolf.
And a wolf, a stuffed wolf, snowshoes, if you like. A clocklet you might see in a
A
museum.
wolf standing on books.
Yep. Tiny guitar over there, the kind of thing an annoying roommate would play at 3 a.m. And it's all here at Cabin. Check it out. But more focused today because we're talking about This Day in Sports, May 7th.
Yes, sir.
And Matt, I would love it if you kick off something that happened in sports on May 7th.
On May 7th?
Yeah.
May 7th, 1950. White Sox pitcher Bill White went 0 for 4 at the plate while throwing a complete game during a 7-3 Chicago win over the A's in Philadelphia. That season, White set an American League record by having 61 at-bats without getting a single hit, finishing with a .000 batting average. He did draw 4 walks that season, giving him an on-base percentage of .062. Not great. No. That's like, oh no. That's like me at softball.
Poor. How do you guys feel about the universal DH? Are we fans of the DH? Or you guys are like, you want pitchers to hit?
Growing up in American League town, I don't. I'm just grew up with a DH. I don't need to see a pitcher hit again.
I like the strategy involved in wanting to take the pitcher out, and
double switches. And,
and having a great pitcher and wanting him to stay in. And then there were a few pitchers who could really hit.
Yeah.
So
we talked about
a few,
Zach Greinke and
there was a few hitters who made it cool.
Yeah.
But there were so many that were just automatic
Terrible.
outs, and in National League games you'd watch where like you'd see guys, pitchers would know, okay, I can structure this whole inning because. Yeah. The pitcher is going to be the guy who comes to the plate with the bases loaded.
Yeah.
And he can't hit.
Yeah.
And that sucked. Like, I didn't like that. Like, he deliberately, they just walk the 8-hitter and be like, it doesn't matter. Because I know I can get him out.
For me, it literally is only fun when you were playing a video game and you had to learn how to be a manager of a National League team.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That was about it. Because like you say, Matt, the strategy was fun. Yeah. But when watching the game, terrible. I didn't enjoy it at all.
In a video game, you would just bunt always with the pitcher, right?
Yeah. Or that's where it would be kind of fun to go, do I take this guy out or is my guy going to keep a guy in? The strategy of the manager, do they keep the pitcher in or not? Yeah. That's interesting to me when you're doing that stuff. But as a fan watching it, it was pretty sad to see. Yep. But man, if a pitcher hit a home run, it was the beginning of Sports Desk every night. It was like that happened. It was like, here we go.
The Bartolo Colon home run was like the greatest thing that ever happened in sports. Like, but they were so few and far between, No,
not worth it.
I don't think so either. 1995, with just 16 seconds left and the Knicks leading Indiana 105-99 in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, Pacers guard Reggie Miller went on a historic run, scoring 8 points in less than 9 seconds to steal the win and stun Spike Lee and the New York crowd. Miller's ridiculous run began with a three-pointer to bring Indiana within 3. He then stole the inbounds pass, stepped back behind the arc, and hit another 3 to tie the game. The Knicks guard John Stark was fouled, but he missed both free throws. Oh, poor John Starks. Miller then raced up the court and sank a two-pointer to win the game 107-105. The Pacers ended up winning that series in 7 games and took 2 of the 4 games held at Madison Square Garden in that series. That is the greatest 30-second montage of Reggie Miller doing that.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. It's pretty extraordinary.
Like if he was a college kid or he was a high school kid trying to get into a college, that would be his highlight reel right there.
Oh, for sure.
So share that tape.
That is his highlight reel. He never won a championship. That's his greatest moment. And to do it in New York City in front of those, that was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. He picked the right spot.
He sure did.
Let's take it back to 1877.
Sure.
In an article in the Cincinnati Enquirer, the term bullpen was used for the first time in regards to a baseball game. The colloquialism was used to reference the area in the stands where late arriving fans were sent after the game started. They stuck them in the bullpen. This is a riffraff room, if you will, that kind of thing.
Why didn't they use riffraff room?
Well, that's Ellen. That's Ellen Gemmer. She's called the riffraff room. The people that were the people that couldn't get into the studio. They're in the riffraff room, and it became the Tom Hanks. Official Tom Hanks riffraff room. She called it the Tom Hanks riffraff because he once made an appearance there or something like that.
I see.
Now I'm going too deep now.
Yeah, a little
Let's
too
get
deep.
all back to the bullpen.
Back to the bullpen.
Yeah, let's go back to the bullpen. Late arriving fans, they go in the bullpen. Like right here on the show, who sits in the bullpen? Frank. Frank's in the bullpen.
Franco.
Frank, how's the bullpen?
In the riffraff room?
Should have showed up on time, Frank.
In leather pants.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Matt, help us.
1999. Yeah, that's the year, and it's May 7th, 1999. During a 2-1 loss to the Red Wings in Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals, Avalanche winger Claude Lemieux became the first player in NHL history to appear in 50 playoff games with 3 different teams, Colorado, New Jersey, and Montreal, and won at least one Stanley Cup with each of those teams.
Yeah. Amazing.
He really turned it on for the playoffs, as you remember. If you were in a playoff pool, that was the guy to that was your sleeper pick.
Everybody hated him, but he kept winning.
Our last episode was about brushback pitching. Had Claude Lemieux been a baseball player, he'd be on those lists for sure.
He predates Marchand, doesn't he? 1959. Over 93,000 fans, the largest crowd in MLB history, were at the Los Angeles Coliseum today for an exhibition game between the Dodgers and the Yankees. Before Dodger Stadium was completed in 1961, LA played home games at the cavernous Coliseum, which of course was built for the Olympics. Today's game was a benefit to honor former Dodgers MVP catcher Roy Campanella, who had been paralyzed in a car accident just over a year earlier. This would also, I was thinking about this, that would have been the first time the Yankees ever were in California.
Right.
because they didn't play. There was no interleague play.
Yeah.
There was no American League team in California at that time.
Yeah.
So that would have been the first time the Yankees had ever been seen in California anywhere. So that's kind of a big. That would have been. That's why there was 93,000 people there, I guess. Right.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Okay. We love bringing up horse racing. Lately, I've noticed.
Sure.
In 1938, while riding Lauren, not Lauren, not a Boston accent like last episode.
Nope.
Just Lauren. Jockey Eddie Acario won the Kentucky Derby for the first time in his career. He went on to win the race a record 5 times in his career. Is the only jockey to win the American Triple Crown twice. Whirl Away in 1941 and Citation in 1948. Wow. Horse racing fans are going to swarm the show.
Oh man, they're going nuts.
Then let's keep the horse racing going.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In 1977, Seattle Slew
There you go.
won the Kentucky Derby by 1 3/4 lengths over Run Dusty Run. That year, Seattle Slew became the first horse to win the American Triple Crown while being undefeated in any previous race. Since then, only one other horse has done it. There's been only one other horse to do it, who was Justify in 2018, who was a descendant of Slew. Note here, Seattle Slew also passed away at age 28 on this day in 2002. So bringing it all the way back from the win to the
Big day.
to the big day for Seattle Slew.
Yeah. I'm sorry, folks. This is not a horse racing. Everybody can turn it off now. 1994, the Nuggets became the first 8 seed in NBA history to win a playoff series when they completed their upset of the top-seeded Sonics with a 98-94 win in Seattle in the decisive Game 5 of the Western Conference quarterfinals. Led by Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, and Sam Perkins and Detlef Schrempf, Seattle had finished the regular season 63-19 record and won the first 2 games in the series by an average of nearly 20 points, but they collapsed in the next 3 games. Denver's Robert Pack had 23 points off the bench, and Dikembe Mutombo had 8 block shots and 15 rebounds in Game 5 to help seal the upset win. There's that famous shot of Mutombo lying under the basket with the ball in his hands, laughing. It's only happened once or twice since then, too. The Knicks did it the year they went to the finals. But it doesn't happen very often.
No.
Like, usually the 8 seeds, it kind of just squeaks in there and
It's over.
Yeah. And Seattle 63-19. Like
that's brutal
that's,
though for them. That's brutal
rough.
for them.
Yeah, that's rough.
In 1970, May 7th, 1970, at Shea Stadium, Dodgers first baseman Wes Parker hit a 10th inning triple to drive in the game-winning runs versus the Mets in a 7-4 win. The triple also completed him hitting for the cycle in 1970. Wes Parker, his nickname was Mr. Steady, but also Hollywood because he quit baseball to pursue an acting career.
Did it go? Did he have one?
He's on the Brady Bunch. He's on like Emergency. He makes all these different appearances.
That sounds pretty good.
Shows in the 70s, here and
sure.
there. But yeah, he always wanted to. He was a good-looking guy, and he always wanted to be an actor. But he was a fantastic first baseman.
Wow.
Very high fielding percentages every year. Always was Gold Glove level. But then decided, I'm in LA. I'm going to be an actor.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
1989, at the Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee, Ric Flair.
Yes.
Frank, can I get a Ric Flair woo? Woo! Ric Flair defeated Ricky Steamboat to win the NWA, thank you, Frank, World Championship title belt in the 3rd and final match of their famous trilogy. The 3 matches between Flair and Steamboat were named top 3 by fans in Wrestling Observer's Match of the Year voting.
Those matches always went like 60 minutes too, right? Like Flair
Just
was
kept
sort of
on
famous.
going.
They were an hour long, and it would the bell would ring as somebody was going to pin Flair to win the championship. Oh no, Flair's still the champion. 1989, also in 1989, The Shot. Leading by 1 point with just 3 seconds left in the decisive Game 5 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals, Cavs head coach Lenny Wilkens made the curious decision to have Craig Elo guard Chicago's Michael Jordan instead of Ron Harper, who usually had done so and was generally regarded as a much better defensive player. Jordan somehow managed to shake loose of Elo, caught the inbounds pass, and hit a running jump shot from the top of the key over his outstretched arm as time expired to give the Bulls a second consecutive first-round win over the Cavs in the playoffs. The Bulls had lost all 6 meetings against Cleveland during the regular season that year and were underdogs in the series, but still, that's the famous shot, Jordan's first famous shot.
You have to ask, why would Wilkins make that move? Like,
Yep.
as a coach,
Gut feeling,
What is the reason?
something.
Like I don't know because it's also
hand. He's got a like. What's going on?
in '89. Pippen is not the threat he became yet either, right? So
No.
you're not. It's not like there's everybody knew who the ball was going to.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Historians have puzzled over that one for.
Maybe it was like a dry erase marker dried up,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah, it could do.
furiously trying to
Yeah.
draw.
I think that the happiest person every time that highlight of Jordan pumping his fist, jumping in the air is Harper, because he's not the guy that got.
That's true.
yeah.
That's,
That's
a
the
good
happiest
point.
guy around. One update I meant to give on Wes Parker, I forgot the stat. So he played 9 seasons in Major League Baseball. He retired at 32 to be an actor. He won the Gold Glove at first 6 of those 9 seasons,
Wow.
including the year he retired. That's how good he was
Wow.
at first.
No Gold Globe? That would be great to win a Golden
And
Glove.
imagine
and a
had he
Golden
got
Glove.
that, because that's not
Golden
an
Globe.
EGOT, but it'd be like a GG.
Yeah. That's a lot of gold. And
Which is another movie he was
Quadruple G.
and
Yeah,
he also
yeah.
did not win any Gold Glove boxing competitions.
Thank you,
I
but
don't
that would've
believe
been great,
either.
too.
That would be really cool.
Especially at the price of gold it is right now.
That's
Thank you so much, Frank. Appreciate that.
Frank's wearing gold pants now.
Oh, shit. Hey, in 1972, May 7th, 1972, Wilt Chamberlain had 24 points and 29 rebounds, and Jerry West had 23 points and 9 assists as the Lakers defeated New York 114-100 at the LA Forum in Game 5 of the NBA Finals to clinch the championship. The Lakers had made the finals 7 times in the last decade and hadn't won it once. This is the first time they won a title since moving to LA from Minnesota in '62. It was the only title the Lakers legends West and Gail Goodrich ever won in their Hall of Fame careers. Lakers great Elgin Baylor, 11-time All-Star, had just retired at the start of the season after playing his 13-year career with the Lakers and never winning it all. That's bad time for old Elgin.
That's bedtime for Elgin Baylor. Yeah, that's no good.
Elgin Baylor, sorry. Elgin Baylor.
They did give him a ring because he played I think he played 10 games at the start of that season and then said that's
nice.
it.
Oh, really? They did?
So he got a ring, but
Yeah.
he wasn't part
Yeah.
of any of that.
Well, in the Lakers, the series on HBO, Showtime,
Yeah.
that they do focus on that, with Jerry West losing and then
Yeah.
losing and losing
Yeah.
and losing and finally winning, and then just never was happy. Even
No.
allegedly, thank you, Matt.
Allegedly.
But allegedly was just never happy even with that championship.
No, he kept running up against those Celtic
Yeah.
teams, and they
He
just
wanted to win
couldn't-
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1983, May 7th. Boston DH Tony Armas went 1 for 4 with a home run and 4 RBI during an 8-0 Red Sox win over Seattle at Fenway Park. That season, Armas set a new MLB record for the lowest batting average in a season by a player who had at least 100 RBI. He finished 1983 with 107 RBI and a .2 or so and a 218 batting average. The record since has been beaten, if you can call it that, by 4 players. And we probably know who they are: Pete Alonso, Max Muncy, Kyle Seager, and new record holder Kyle Schwarber, who had 104 RBI in 2023, despite a batting average of 197. He is the only player ever to have a batting average below 200 and drive in at least 100 runs in the same season.
That was all home runs and doubles, wasn't it, with Schwarber? Was that what it
I'm
was?
sure. Well, I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure he had some singles in there, but yeah.
But it seemed like there wasn't even singles in there.
yeah,
I don't
he's
know
just
why.
one of those guys that goes crazy for 2 weeks and hits
Yeah.
15 home runs.
But also, he's hitting leadoff a lot, isn't he? Like, aren't they?
I think he draws a lot of walks.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's an interesting. Is Schwarber a good player?
I think he is. I think he does a lot for the look. 100 RBI, like that's.
Well, you're much happier to have him in the National League if you can have a DH option.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the big difference,
Yeah.
And
Yes, because he's not. He's not a good outfielder.
no, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you can't drive in runs unless there's people on ahead of you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's like, look at those other guys too. Alonso, obviously amazing.
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Muncy.
Yeah, or I guess the question is, does it mean batting average is overrated as a statistic?
Well, yeah, it should be on base percentage, right?
Yeah, and Schwarber does walk a lot. Okay, also in 1983, Mike Bossy scored 4 goals as the Islanders won 8-4 in Boston in Game 4 of the Wales Conference Finals to complete a sweep of the Bruins and advance to the Stanley Cup Final for the 4th straight year. A lot of fours. Bossy set 2 NHL playoff records in the series. He scored 9 goals in just 4 games, and he scored the game-winning goal in all 4 games.
Wow.
It's a lot of fours.
Yeah.
A lot of fours for Orr. Okay, May 7th.
How much of that cock puncher have you had?
Woo, 10%.
No one mentioned Bobby Orr.
Just throwing it out there. May 7th, 2001, Giants outfielder Barry Bonds had 2 hits, both singles, during a 6-2 San Francisco home win over the Expos. That year, Bonds set a new MLB record by hitting just 49 singles despite appearing in 153 games. An astonishing 107 extra base hits that year, 73 home runs, 32 doubles, and 3 triples, and won his 4th National League MVP award, becoming the first player ever to win more than 3 league MVPs.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, just in 107 extra base hits, 73 homers, 32 doubles, 3 triples. Oh, my goodness.
And it was by then it was to the point where he was basically getting 1 pitch a game
Yeah.
Yeah.
to swing it.
Yeah.
Like they were so careful with him.
Yeah.
He got like 1 pitch a game and he'd crush it.
They were
like,
super happy just to walk him every time.
yeah, like they
had
just
to,
didn't
and-
they didn't take their chances. They tried. Oh man, he was incredible.
Yeah, as we said last episode, didn't we intentionally walk 4 times in a game?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And what was the time? Buck Showalter walked him with the bases loaded once. The Diamondbacks were up
would
2
rather just take the run.
yeah.
and walked him with the bases loaded to only allow 1 run to score and went after the next guy. Like he was incredible. He broke baseball. Like everything else, like all the other rules didn't apply anymore.
Because when you pitch to him, you know what he got a lot of? Quick hits.
Ah,
Gentlemen, let's head to quick hits.
It all
in
ties in.
1991, in his first game back in Shea Stadium as a member of the Dodgers, former Mets outfielder Darryl Strawberry hit a 2-run home run, but later grounded out to third with 2 runners on to end the game as the Mets defeated LA 6-5.
Quick hits! 2006, Anaheim's Ilya Brizgalov made 22 saves to lead the Ducks to a 3-0 win over Colorado in Game 2 of the Western Conference semifinals. The win made Brizgalov just the 7th goalie in NHL history to have a shutout in 3 consecutive playoff games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quick hits! In 1975, after he'd left Philadelphia full of hard feelings between him and his team management and the local media, the Braves traded former All-Star infielder Dick Allen back to the Phillies. At age 33 and 34, he played 2 more seasons in Philly. What a shithole.
Oh,
Couldn't help himself.
the views of Sandy and Cockpuncher.
Do not necessarily reflect
Philly.
those.
I should never go to Philly again. They're going to kill me.
Quick hits 2010. Jonathan Taves had 3 power play goals and 2 assists in Chicago's 7-4 win over Vancouver in Game 4 of the Western Conference semifinals to become the first Blackhawks player ever to have 5 points in a playoff game. That's interesting. That's an interesting
It's hard to
stat.
believe, isn't it? But-
Yeah.
Quick hit, 2017. The Cavs defeated the Raptors 109-102 in Toronto to complete a 4-game series sweep in the Eastern Conference semifinals. LeBron had 35, 6, and 9, and Kyrie had 27, 9, and 5 as Cleveland eliminated the Raps from the playoffs for the 2nd consecutive year. They did it again next year, too. The Raptors had a record of 2-12 against Cleveland in the playoffs between 2016 and 2018.
Quick hits! 2017, John Daly won his first tournament in 13 years, winning the Insperity Invitational at the Woodlands in Texas. Very popular tournament, of course. Daly bogeyed each of the last 3 holes of his final round, but hung on to win by 1 stroke. It wasn't pretty, he said afterwards, but I got it done, and that's all that matters.
True that.
Quick hit 2022. Venezuelan jockey Sonny Leon rode 80-1 outsider Rich Stryker to victory at the Kentucky Derby, making him one of the biggest underdogs ever to win it at 80-1. That is a big underdog.
And the funny thing was, Rich Stryker,
Matt, you feel free to read those beforehand.
No, it takes all the fun out of it.
I was just going to say, Rich Stryker, not a horse.
That's enough cock puncher for you.
Just a name. This does not sound like a horse name. It sounds like a guy
Should I take
walking
another run
by.
at it?
Lean over and punch him in the cock, please.
Rich Stryker.
Quick hit!
Yes.
Let's get out of here. 2003, Arsenal began an astonishing run today by defeating Southampton FC 6-1 at Highbury to begin an English Premier League record of 49 consecutive unbeaten games. The streak lasted 17 months, led by superstar Thierry Henry's 39 goals. The Gunners won the EPL title that year, finishing with a record of 26 wins and 12 draws and no losses.
Quick hits to close out their quick hits in 2021, just to prove that what a no-hitter can mean for you. Cincinnati pitcher Wade Miley threw a no-hitter in Cleveland, striking out 8 batters and allowing just 1 walk on 114 pitches, despite finishing 2021 with a 12-7 record and a 3.37 ERA. The Reds released him after that season.
Oh.
Thanks, Wade.
Yeah, I know.
All right, I'm doing one more. I got to go out on a clean one here, guys. 2013, Patrick Marleau's power play goal in overtime gave the Sharks a 4-3 win over the Canucks in Game 4 of the Western Conference semifinals. The overtime goal gave San Jose the first playoff series sweep in franchise history.
There you go.
Quick hit.
Quick hits.
Quick hits.
And
Let's go to, we're going to birthdays
Yeah,
now.
let's do it, Mike.
Birthdays. Happy birthday, May 7th, 1950, to boxer/actor Randall Tex Cobb in Bridge City, Texas, long known as one of the toughest men walking the planet Earth. He's also in Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's great. And
He's the
Fletch,
guy, he's
and
great.
Fletch.
Thank you.
He's the guy. He's great.
Okay, birthdays. Okay, for all you Colts fans out there, right here, 1933.
For both of you.
Thank you for the 1933 Hall of Famer, 5-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champ, QB when he was in Baltimore. Johnny Unitas was born in Pittsburgh, PA. Greatest brush cut in sports.
Yeah.
Nice. Happy birthday in 1893 to legendary NHL executive for Toronto and Montreal, Frank J. Selke in Kitchener, Ontario.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday, May 7th, 1984. Three-time Pro Bowl quarterback and first overall pick for San Francisco, Alex Smith, born in Seattle, Washington.
Happy birthday in 1978. 4-time NBA All-Star, 2011 NBA champ with Dallas. The Matrix, Sean Marion in Clarksville, Tennessee. I think he's been too largely forgotten. That guy was a great player.
He was pretty versatile, too. Like, he could do a lot of things.
Yep.
Happy birthday 1979 to 5-time WNBA All-Star and 2012 WNBA champ with Indiana, Katie Douglas in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, she won a championship with her hometown team. Good. That's cool. Happy birthday, 1989, 7-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champ for Seattle, safety Earl Thomas in Orange, Texas, part of the Legion of Boom.
Do we have any left? Is that all the birthdays?
No.
That's all our birthdays.
That's all our
I think we
birthdays.
leave it there. No deaths today.
No
Let's keep it
deaths.
positive.
Okay. No one ever died on this
Keep
day.
it positive.
Yeah.
All right.
That's right, cockpuncher.
Mike, we went into our draft, this idea for a draft. What was it inspired by? Do we have the inspiration for this, or was it just a thought? Was it just
it was just a thought.
A whimsical thought this week. A wild card, if you will, for our cards.
Yes, that's right. We were talking about baseball cards and stuff like that and statistics and that, and we just came up with, what would you like to see?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the back of a, basketball card, football card, whatever. There's always the typical statistics.
What did you have one from recent or your childhood that you remember, either one of you, from like things they wrote in the back of the card that you're like, oh, that stuck with me?
I think in the 80s, the cards used to have some cards, baseball cards used to have little anecdotes, right? He owns a fish and chip store.
That's exactly
store in New Haven, Connecticut, or whatever. There was, so I'd like that to return. They're so slick now. There's none of that kind of folksy stuff on them.
Because hockey cards for sure in the 80s, early 80s, had that little drawing, like a cartoon of a guy doing something like question. And I always remember I think it was like a Wilf Paymont or maybe a Morris Lukowich, but one of those guys, I remember just he enjoys he learned to be a better skater by training with a figure skater. That was like a whimsical thing that everyone was like, oh, he's a figure skating made you a better skater or whatever it was. Those little facts. Did you have one of those, Matt?
No.
Okay, great. Never saw that, Matt? Never saw that. But no, seriously, they humanized the guys, and I love that stuff.
We'd like to humanize the athletes on the cards more. So we feel like these categories would be ways where we would learn something about the player other than
fun
just
with that.
Okay.
Yeah, other than their 3-point shooting average or how many touchdowns they had or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to know
what is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So does Matt, you have first pick in this draft. What would you like to see on the back of a card, of a sports card? What are the players revealing about themselves?
Okay. This can be a fact, a stat, anything like that. Okay, so one thing I'd like to see is which other player they'd vote off their team.
Good.
In a survivor-like situation,
Right.
which player they would vote off their team.
Yep, that's a good one. I had something similar to that. I had their least favorite other player, teammate.
Yeah.
Yep. So good call. I like that one. Is it you next, Sandy? I think it is.
Is it me? Yeah. Mine would just be simply any regrets.
So that would just be like a regrets.
So we caught up with Sidney Crosby. Sid, back of your card. one or two words. Any regrets?
Born Cape Breton, date, regrets.
Regrets.
Was this
Broke up.
inspired?
Broke up with Susie in grade 11.
Yeah, he missed out on the love of his life.
Yeah. And you just sort of read it and get sad. Like,
Yes.
Oh, Sydney. Sidney Crosby, friend of the show, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Okay, my favorite, my back of the card statistic I'd like to see is I would like to know what's their favorite cocktail.
Favorite cocktail.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, what do you like to when you go to the bar after a game or you come home and unwind? What do you like to what do you like to drink?
Yep.
So I'd like to know what that would be.
All right, I've moved over to a statistic I'd like to see.
Sure.
And I would like to see number of televised junk adjustments for the entire season. Number of times they were on camera.
Yeah,
And
and they
they
grabbed
decided
themselves.
to adjust their equipment.
That would be dependent on the position too, right? Like if it's a pitcher, you're going to get a lot of those.
Yeah.
That's
Number
a good
of
one.
junk adjustments.
Junk adjustments.
Well, or yeah.
Now,
You-
before I forget to say
Yeah.
this, if you're out there and you see our, we release these on Instagram, wherever it is, you get a chance to comment. Great chance to jump on there and comment and vote on what you would like to see, or a judgment on what you liked, what we did, what ones you thought were good choices. But yeah, if you're out there and you're like, no, we should have had this on the back of a sports card, put it in the comment section. We'd love to see that because that gets us interacting with you.
Yeah, it does.
So okay, I would say I did regrets in round one.
It made us all sad.
Made you all sad. And you want to go with? What's the strangest thing a fan has ever asked you?
Oh.
Yeah, strangest thing a fan has ever asked you, like
Very
a
good.
request or just a weird thing they
Yeah,
maybe
that's
yelled
good.
out to you.
That's
You know,
great.
It's like
Be cool.
Yeah.
My second one is going to be I liked when you used to buy the Jays like season brochure at the Dome.
Yeah.
They used to have profiles of everybody, and you'd find out favorite band.
Oh, that's good.
And I would like to know that because it would tell me a lot about whether I would like this person or not.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I remember being very disappointed in the Jays brochure years ago. God rest him, Roy Halladay. But the band that he said was Phil Collins and Genesis. And I remember being like, "Oh man,
Not cool.
you were my favorite player until right now." So that would be a big factor for me.
Yeah.
All right, I think you got this great card. You got your picture on the front, you're in your equipment and everything. On the back, doesn't have to take up the whole back, but in a corner, maybe I want your grad photo.
That's pretty good.
I want
Yeah.
to see them back in school. I think there should be, who were you then?
Grad photo. What level are you talking about? High school or it's
High school grad.
High school grad. Let's do high school grad, which sometimes won't be that long.
Yeah, some of these guys are right there.
Yeah.
All right. What would I like to know about a player? How about what toy did you want as a kid but you didn't get?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's like I always wanted the.
You're going sad.
It's very sentimental.
Sandy's got a lot
Sentimental.
of-
Well, humanizing. I'm really
Sandy's
just trying.
cards are going to be like,
Okay, I promise the next one's going
Woe
to be more
be
fun.
gone.
It will be much less melancholy.
Okay. I would like to know, my third one I'd like to know is, what is your least favorite road city?
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh.
what town do you hate going to?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Milwaukee or like
Philadelphia.
Salt Lake. Oh, here we go with the Philly. I was trying to bash a different city. Anyway, what's your least favorite city to travel?
I
to?
remember.
Road city.
I remember recently a person who was part of the Royals organization retired, and at the bar asking, "You're finally retired. You've been all over the place. Where do you never want to go to again?" And he didn't even take a breath, and he said, "Fucking Cleveland."
Nice.
And he went on and on about the greatest thing about his retirement is he never has to go back to Cleveland again in his entire life.
Wow.
And then
That's tough.
And then like maybe a long time after, 45 minutes later, he went, "You know what? Also Detroit." Like they just kind of threw it in, didn't expand upon it, just said also that. But that's a person who was in baseball 40 years and said that's the guy, that's the team, that's a city I'd never want to go back to again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess everyone always has one.
Yeah,
for right?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's because you don't play well when you're there or whatever, like whatever your reasons would be.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
All right, Matt.
All
last
right,
one.
my final one. Gosh. How about where, and this is, they got to answer honestly, where they feel they should have been drafted?
I had that on my list.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had that when there was a possibility for me. Yeah, where you should, like I actually had which team you wish drafted you, but you think where you should have been drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
smart.
So to clarify, is this what you're asking, Frank? Like number wise or city wise, or what team should have drafted you? What do you mean?
I think
like
I would like to know where they thought they would be drafted number wise.
Yeah, that's what I'm going
yeah.
for. Frank and I are
okay
on the same level there.
Okay, so that's what
number wise.
You're not talking team. You're talking.
No.
Yeah,
I'm
like
talking
I should have
about-
been second pick. I should have been
Like Brock Purdy thinks he should have been drafted in the first round, kind of thing.
Yeah, but other people might be, I think I probably should go in
Where
the
I
third.
would. Okay, gotcha.
I would just like to know too, like
yeah.
which team they thought they might have been going to,
Yeah.
and it didn't
okay,
work
well,
out.
That's Sandy's, yeah.
Something, yeah.
That is interesting. That does happen too, right?
Like
you talk to
they're
teams
convinced they're going to be
beforehand.
going to a different to
Yeah.
a team, and then all of a sudden they
Oh,
I don't know if they trade to get a higher pick or whatever. In the NHL, they do that. I don't know about baseball though.
yeah.
I'm gonna keep it positive.
Oh,
I
yeah,
had some
all
sort
right.
of sadder
Cheer everybody up, yeah.
ones and cheer, but this is kind of a curiosity thing. What was your first ever word? What did your parents tell you your first ever word was?
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, no, that's
that's
You don't like it?
Sandy's
Does your
cards
mom
are
know your
not
first words.
You don't like that?
not going to be
I
hot.
thought that was kind of
sellers.
fun.
No.
All right.
You know what's going to happen. He's going to win.
Look, my alternative was what's the biggest lie you ever told? Is that
That's better. Way better.
Actually, go with biggest lie you ever told.
That's pretty good too. Yeah.
an agent.
You can change it if you want.
no,
I wasn't going to
I'll
take that.
I'll take it.
My last one is what would be your alternate career?
Yeah.
Alt career.
Like
yeah.
if if you broke your foot so badly you couldn't play hockey anymore, what would you do? What would you can't say like be a hockey coach. Like what else? Like what
Outside
completely
of the,
different thing
outside of the sport.
would you have liked to have done instead, or would you have thought you'd be good at?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean that. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what you generally, because that is a common, not a fairly common question. They sometimes will ask these guys, and I know that it's so funny because when you watch the final edit when you're at the ball game or you're on even online or whatever, and they say like here's all the guys answering the question.
Yeah.
It makes it look like they came up with it off the top of their head.
No.
But that has to be a painful process going, you can't think of anything?
Yeah.
No, I never thought I'd
Yeah.
always be baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought, how about fireman? Fireman. Like it just, you're like, I don't know how genuine that answer just was.
Sandy, I'd appreciate it if you didn't poo-poo.
I'm not trying to poo-poo
my
your idea. No, I think it's true, but it's just so funny because when they ask that question,
Yeah.
and the other thing is like, it's like for example, it's like if you say to there was an era there where you'd say to most guys in sports, especially hockey, you'd say, "What's your favorite song?" Enter Sandman, Metallica. Next guy, what's your favorite song? Enter Sandman, Metallica. So it's completely useless because you can't have 17 profiles of the same.
Are you
Yeah.
suggesting that introspection is not a strength of professional athletes?
I gotta just a few more. I'm gonna throw it to you guys. See if these
Sure.
resonate at all.
Yeah, sure.
Number of games you phoned it in.
Oh, that's interesting.
Interesting. 162 games. There's got to be a few.
I kept it negative. I had what makes
Or,
you cry.
How many games were you hung over for?
That's a good one too.
Yeah. Well, how many games can you
How many
not
games have
remember?
you
Yeah,
pitched
yeah.
on LSD?
Yeah, there you go.
How-
Thank you,
there
Doc
you go.
Ellis.
Thank
Call
you.
back from last episode.
How about what's the minimum you would play for? Honestly,
Oh man.
Oh, that's good.
you got
Matt, these are gold. Why didn't you use these?
Pre-game superstitions.
That's nice.
Like what do you do every day before you like take the ice or take the diamond, take the field, whatever?
Yeah.
How about just a fun one? You that formula you used to come up with your porn name or your
Oh yeah.
that,
Yeah, yeah.
your pet and your
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, is there a better porn name in the history of baseball than Dick Pole?
No, I don't think
Rusty cunts.
That's pretty good.
That's for real. I didn't make that.
I
up.
know that. Oh, definitely
That's
did.
the real thing.
My favorite thing is
Homer Bush.
My favorite. Thank you. My favorite is looking up.
Those are
Dick-
just coming out the top.
No,
of my
no,
head.
these are just the top of the head. The great porn names.
Yeah.
George Springer. I think Richard Steele.
Okay, okay.
Now listen,
let's-
I think
let's count
I
it.
think no, but I was just gonna say that's there are a lot of great baseball names, but I was only gonna add that if you look it up, one of my favorite things to look up for Dick Pole is that he once played for the Oregon Beavers. So there's a card that says Dick Pole Beavers. So just if you want to check it out, Matt, you suggested this earlier. Check out that card.
There's also don't forget about your boy. Don't forget about your boy Sandy, Johnny Dickshot.
Johnny Dickshot. That's from a previous episode. That's
Yeah, that's a
forever ago.
callback. Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
Johnny Dickshot.
Don't forget that.
Tough to beat that.
No,
that's a tough one. That's
O-
a tough one.
Oil Can Boyd.
Thank you.
That could
be enough.
Oil can.
Dickie Thon.
You're on a roll, man.
I think we're getting off.
I've been thinking about this for years.
Yeah. Finally.
My
Finally.
chance is finally coming.
Alex Wood. for example.
Tim Spoonie Barger.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So we should really get back to what we're talking
Boof
about.
Bonzer.
Thank you. So next episode,
Ed
perhaps we should have best porn names in sports. I think that should be coming up. Frank, you love that, eh?
Yeah, next one.
That's it. Thank you. But this one is going to be best things
Goose
that you,
Gossage.
Thank you. Things you would like to see on
Heat Lecoq.
Yeah. What would spice up the back of these?
Can't get to it.
The back of these cards.
Yeah, interesting things you like to see in the back of a sports card.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are. Give me your air, Mike. If you need any more,
I'm out. That's it.
We started this episode talking about Beethoven.
Yeah.
And
Isn't
we
it incredible?
ended it like the journey
Isn't
we
it incredible?
took.
Yeah.
Let's get to our judge telling us who they think, and then also giving us more ideas. What should be on the back of sports cards? What are those interesting facts you want to know about those players? Let's check it out.
We're here. This is episode 42, and our guest judge was on episode 16, I believe, and has returned. And this is Ann Pornel, described by the Globe and Mail as a right hot blast of funny. Ann Pornel cut her comedy teeth as a regular cast member on Sunday Night Live, a weekly sketch show here in Toronto, and continued creating biting satire at the venerated Second City Toronto main stage, where she wrote 3 critically acclaimed shows. She would move on to join the cast of She the People, which has toured Just for Laughs, Montreal, Edmonton Fringe, as well as an engagement with Mervish Productions as well, and is a Canadian Comedy Award winner and winner of the 2017 Entertainer of the Year Award from My Entertainment World. Anne's unique perspective on diversity, body image, inclusion has garnered her spots at NBC's Breakout Comedy Festival and Just for Laughs 42, or JFL 42, and has appeared on and written for the Baroness Von Sketch Show, The Beaverton, and its hours 22 minutes. But you would know her best currently as one of the co-hosts of the iconic Great Canadian Baking Show, which is nominated for several CSAs, including the 2022 for Best Co-Host. And of course, she is currently the face of CBC Gem. If you are in Canada and you have eyes, I don't know what to say, you would have seen these things. It is on billboards, it's on spot. It's very colorful too, Anne. Just like you. You're a very colorful person. I mean, you joined us with this pink cap on, and instantly we were so excited to see you. Welcome to the show as our guest judge. Ann Pornel is here. Hi, Ann.
Oh, this was a wonderful reminder for me to edit my bio.
I asked.
That's all the time we have, unfortunately.
Great
Thanks
to be
for
here.
coming.
No problem. We had Aurora Brown on the show not that long. Her and Chris Siddiqui, and we always used to say when we were in the cast at Second City, do you want a normal bio or a Aurora Brown giant bio? Like there were these giant multi-paragraph bios, and that's where that's my watermark is like that. Your bio is nowhere near that.
I mean, Aurora is a very award-winning. She's done all the things. She's a fucking icon, so
she does. But there are some things back then when she was less iconic, I guess, that we all did. So she was like, finally, as she came in, I think it was like her 4th show together. She's like, fine, you guys happy with this one? Or like, see, that's normal. She was like, yeah, that's a paragraph.
She will never appear on this show again after that.
She's never coming back. She's never.
No. Chris will come though, so it's fine.
Chris will show up. Chris will show up for sure. And thank you for coming back. Last time we were talking about, I believe, athletes that became actors. Am I correct about that? That was
yes.
Yes, way back when. And this time we're switching into the sports cards. Now I don't know. Did you when you were a kid, or maybe even just as a grown up, did you ever have a lot of sports cards around? I know you're a particular baseball fan, I think, but maybe
Definitely not. I was more like I have bobbleheads. I've got my Teoscar one just over here, actually. So this past Friday, I went to the game hoping to get the Hello Kitty Blue Jays one, but we did not have the correct tickets, and I was very upset because they also lost that game so brutally.
Yeah,
so
they
I do like
did.
to collect, but not cards.
That was a rough night.
You thought you were going to the Hello Kitty night and it was the wrong night? Is that what it was? Oh.
No, it was the correct night, but like the Jays are doing this special thing with specific giveaways where it's no longer come for the first 1,500 show up for specific items. You have to get a specific ticket, and that will guarantee you the item. But we didn't realize that, so we just saw Ohtani home run, and I guess that's the only good thing.
Yeah.
I guess that's that. I guess it's good because back in the day, yeah, you'd have to be the first, whatever, 15,000, 20,000 fans. People lined up for like 4 or 5 hours. Now you just get the ticket, get that over with. You can show up whenever and you get it. Now it burned you, but in principle, it's probably pretty good. I mean,
Yes. If I had read anything, I would have figured it out, but that's on me. So I don't blame the Blue Jays for that.
Oh, well, Matt's gonna go online right now, jump on eBay and get you one of those.
We'll get one of those. I mean, Mike must have got one. You went to that game, Mike. You
I'm
lined up.
big on Hello Kitty. Yeah, I got it all.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm coming to your house then. I'm gonna get that Hello Kitty.
You
So-
can come and look at it.
So you have the Teo, the bobblehead, but did you ever collect anything when you were a kid? Did you collect something? Was there something you were?
Yeah, I was one of those. I was one of those Beanie Baby kids.
Oh,
And, yeah, but like my parents were, they were immigrants. They were like, no, we're not buying you all of them. So like, I would always pretend like I had the good ones, but like never bring them to school. So that and books, I would say. So I did collect, and as an adult, I would say I collect clothing. So I do have a hoarding problem. Yes, that's what you're asking, right?
That's
Yeah.
really what I was asking: is how bad is the hoarding getting?
This
is what
is
actually
actually an intervention, Ann.
No.
bring in the
You're
shrink.
gonna have to come and speak to you about your.
Yeah.
Now with these Beanie Babies, did you just like them, or was there ever a time when you were like, oh, this is a financial thing, like I'm investing?
That no, I was at least, it's just because they were really cute and all the kids at school, like all the cool kids were collecting them. And my parents, let's spill the tea. They loved going to Casino Niagara. And so like that was the deal. If they went and I had to go with them, which I would have to because I'm a child, I would get to go to the fudge store on Clifton Hill where they sold Beanie Babies. So I bet like my collection benefited from my parents' gambling enthusiasm.
Fantastic. That's such
I
a good
do like
story.
I do like how you just said, because all the cool kids were collecting them. I think like you did like you checked yourself like oh my God, those kids weren't cool. It's all coming back to you. You weren't certain. You weren't certain.
It's more that I have a faulty memory more than anything.
Well, you're looking at a group here. Mike still collects CDs. You're right, Mike? You have all your CDs.
That's not inaccurate. I'm glad everyone knows that now. That's great.
That's fine. I collected baseball cards. I was a huge collector, hoarder for sure. Matt, not any so specific, Matt. It's just like you collect everything. Seems like you have something.
Yeah. I like hats. I got a lot of hats.
Yeah.
But I don't go out of my way to collect them. They come to me.
Matt and so I've known Matt since high school in Winnipeg, and Matt was the kind of person you're like, hey, remember like that fantasy football draft back in like 1994, I think it was. He was like, let me just go grab that, and he pulls like a piece of paper like that, the pre-internet, like handwritten. Here's that team you had, and that's the kind of stuff Matt will pull out, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. I got some old papers. I guess that's me.
Maybe too personal. And before I divulge too much about the personal side of Matt Kippen, I wanted to jump into this because we wanted to draft. You get the sports card and you're a kid, and when you have kids, your kid have these fun facts. They put these fun facts, and there'd be like this little cartoon or something on the back, and it would say something like, "Fun fact, like." This hockey player took figure skating to be a better skater. For baseball, I never bring this up earlier, guys, but I remember the one that blew my mind was the Doc Gooden one. It was like, Doc Gooden is Gary Sheffield's uncle. And I was like, what? Like, how is that possible that these two guys are like those kind of facts? They're kind of gone away. We think there should be some more fun ones. So we drafted these lineups. And I'll jump in right away, Ann, with what we're offering up to you as the illustrious judge, as Team One. Team One took, which player would they would ask this player on the back of the card, they'd have to answer, which player would you like voted off the team? Second one, a stat for number of junk adjustments in a season. That would be adjusting yourself.
I believe it was on camera.
Thank you. It has to be on camera. I'm so sorry. It has to be on camera. High school grad photo should be featured on the back of the card. And then what round or spot do you think you deserve to be drafted in? And to be clear, that was, you might have been drafted like in the third round. You'd be like, no, I should have been drafted in the first round. Or maybe you're in the first and you're kind of like self-deprecating. You're like, I'm more of a third round player. So, and of those four, just talking about those, any of those like jump to you and go, that's a good idea or a bad idea? What do you think?
What was the first one again? Because I remember being like, oh, I'd like to know that information.
That was, which player would you like voted off your team?
Yes. I like that one because it's messy. And it's leaving a paper trail, and like you if I like that one for the drama for sure, and the high school picture because we all love a throwback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think so. I think but yeah, that would be messy. Like, and the thing that's kind of funny is like, if they ask these questions, those cards don't come out for a while. So like, it's not like an immediate answer. Who do you want voted off? Now you'd be very lucky if in the new season that player was on another team or you were on another team by the time it came out. But if he came to spring training, those cards came out, you're still playing with that person. You want them off the team. That's when it gets spicy. That's the good
I
stuff.
feel like it's spicy no matter what, because the league is the league. You're only seeing specific people, right? So like you might get if it's a pitcher, you're for sure getting thrown at.
Yeah.
But that's also what I like because it's just like, ooh, everyone in the clubhouse is like, did you see what Jose Bautista wrote about, I don't know, Josh Donaldson? Oh, like I think that's just fun speculation for everyone. And I think then you can like really choose sides, and that's where real rivalries are born.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that some guys would be like, hey, it's just a joke. I don't know. It's just the back of my card. Oh, they made me answer that. And some guys might say, okay, it's fine. Others would be like, I'm never talking to you again.
Oh, certainly. And I kind of that's what I like because you're just like, well, at least it's doing the it's doing the work of finding out who your people are and finding out who's chill and who for sure has too big of an ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll bet there would be instances where people know right away. It's like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
writing you. I'm writing you. You
I
know?
would love it if the way they answered it was like not directly a name, but like, well, this player like led hints, kind of like a blind item.
Yeah.
That would be fun because that's even more funny because if it's not a person and they think it is, that's double the drama.
Yeah. Yeah. They just kind of shorten it down a bit, like, well, I always had a thing with pitchers, and this is the thing with this guy, and then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible.
Or
I like
his name
it.
rhymes with Popani.
Okay, so I think that you like the spice, you like the spice, like controversy.
I do.
And let's see what team 2 has to offer here. Oh yeah, list of regrets. Strangest thing a fan ever asked you. What toy did you get as a kid? Ask for as a kid, did you want, and you never got it? And then finally, what was your first ever word? What did your parents say your first ever word was? So what jumps out of you on those 4?
I think I really like this idea of like the one that got away, but something as meaningless as a toy. Because if they were to say that, fans would for sure go out of their way to get that toy to that player. So I think it's a great strategy of like, oh, if you've always wanted this specific toy, that's how you would get it. Because like I know a lot of musicians, and like I'm a big fan of K-pop and like boy bands, and whenever they say something is their favorite candy, fans go out of their way to give them that candy to the point where they're like, please stop bringing this to our shows. So I feel like that's a great way of collecting the things you weren't able to collect.
Very good.
That is absolutely true. If they're like a kid, like, oh, I wanted this very specific toy, like in our generation was like a GI Joe thing. So you're like, I wanted the GI Joe Rattler. I always wanted the Rattler. I wanted that airplane. It's like you're gonna get like 1,000 of those sent to you if you're a popular player.
Yeah, and then you get to make money.
And then you get written down as the person you want voted off because that guy's got rattlers all over the clubhouse. They're everywhere, those GI Joe things.
Comes back to bite you.
I feel like so yeah, Stranger Things fans have ever said, I think that's definitely, that definitely is odd things they would say. I think regrets too is a bit of a interesting thing to say, regrets. I think those players though would just be like, I don't know how good the answers would be. I just don't, that's the only thing I doubt, like how honest they would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're athletes. They're not, if I may make a generalization,
Sure.
are the sharpest crayons in the box. Like how many times have we heard the same canned answer from any player doing any post-game interview? It's the same rehearsed thing. So I feel like it's inevitably going to be like, oh, I didn't stay for that practice, or oh, I left this game early and didn't get to see XYZ. So if they're being real, if that's the caveat, they got to be real with these answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to be injected with sodium pentothal right before these questions are asked.
Yes, perfect. This is exactly what we need to do to our athletes.
Yeah.
It would be great if they were like, if they said something, you want something like, oh, there was this kid, Josh, I was in high school. I was kind of mean to him, and I've always wanted to say sorry, Josh. Just like that on the back of the card.
That would be really cute, but also like a form of penance. Well, that could be nice.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. I think I was trying to remember back doing it when you're talking about being real. Mike, you might be able to help me out with this, but I one of my favorites was that announcer. It might have been Cincinnati. I can't remember. They canceled Marty Brenneman now, but one of the guys who they said, okay, we have the mailbag, the weekly mailbag. We open the bag. We talk about what you're afraid of. I think I might have talked this in the show before, but it's like, what are you afraid of? So it's just a very innocuous kind of question. And the one guy says, oh, spiders. I hate spiders. Always have, always hated them. It's like, oh, that's great. It's great. It's like, how about you? And he's like, oh, afraid of heights. Like if I went to like a city that had a big tower, I'd never go up there. Afraid of heights. I go, great. And they went to the one announcer said, how about you? And he goes, guys, honestly, dying alone. And there's like this huge silence, and it's like, that's a ball. Like it's like no one knows what to say. It's like, you're too real. That's too real. Too real. We just wanted fun stuff like clowns or whatever. And it's like, it's crazy. I encourage you to look it up because it's so awkward.
I've never seen that. It's fantastic.
His follow-up is like, well, you're on the road all the time. You're in these hotel rooms alone. You're away from your family. I'm like, what if I died right now? It's like, didn't get better. It didn't get better. It's a little too real.
He was having a hard day that day, wanted to share feelings.
Yeah. The Reds weren't playing well that day, I guess. Wow.
And I feel like I always thought when they go to break, the producer's like, just say snakes next time, man. Like,
I hope it was a blowout and he just stayed in that lane for the rest of the broadcast. Just kept talking about it. I'm glad we brought this up because
I'm gonna find that and I'm gonna send it to all of you and post it on our Instagram too, to that link, because that thing it's crazy. To me, so that's too real. That's getting too real, maybe, but still entertaining as hell for someone like Ann who likes to spice it up right on the back of the card.
I just think also it gives your opponents even more like ammunition. Like, let's say they do have lists of regrets and it's just like, oh, well, Janie was the one that got away. How funny would it be if like a team was like, yo, that's Janie. She's right here. Like, and they just use it to troll each other.
Oh, yeah.
I think a more fun way to spend the day at any sporting event.
Like the back catcher could be, oh, that ball, that strike, that was a great one. Got away from you there, just like Janie did. That one back. Not gonna get that pitch back.
Exactly.
Just like Janie.
This is all teaching us why these players don't want to be on it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yes.
So scared. So scared. Say the wrong thing. I'll never, ever hear the end of it.
Yeah. And leave a paper trail if it's on the back of your card.
Forever. That's the card everyone would want that player to sign for the rest of their lives, long past retirement. Like, got to sign that specific card, the Janie card or whatever, you know. God. Love it. All right. Team 3. This is a little more straightforward in some ways. Favorite cocktail, favorite band, least favorite road city. That could be spicy.
Yes.
And what would your career have been without sports? What else would you have done with your life? So that's
I would love to know that last one. Like, I want to know who went to school, who graduated, who was there strictly on a sports scholarship. I would love to know what they also imagine for themselves, because I feel like athletes, to be at that level, like to be at that elite level, you probably have had to turn everything else off other than sports. So I really do think that's a fun experiment for them to indulge in. Like, what would your future have been if it wasn't this? Because what would it be? Also, like, what happens if you get injured? Like, what's your backup plan, basically?
Yep. Yeah, you're right. And they've probably turned the blinders on so much in their life to just focus on getting where they are that they probably haven't spent a lot of time on the sliding doors of life. You know, you kind of can't.
Yeah. And there are some players that I think wear their interests a little bit more on their sleeve. Like, for better or for worse, someone like R.A. Dickey. Like, I think he was very vocal with his like literary interest. Like the guy loved to talk about how he reads a lot, the Bible, but other things too.
Yeah.
So I feel like you'd get a really good sense of who's cool, who could I hang out with, and who would just be like fishing, like
Yeah.
which I think is what many players would
Oh
probably
yeah.
just say.
Fishing and hunting.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
It's very true. But that's the thing. Like those guys in any sport, they have any athlete has the opportunity to be honest. Is like the fans love that. So it isn't just hunting and fishing. If it's something that's very specific that they like to do, the personality of that person. I mean, Ari Dickey was big because he was a big Star Wars fan. So everyone they really
Yes.
jumped on that, right? They
Yes.
jumped on that idea of it all and like really dorky about it too. So but fans love that, the humanizing factor for sure.
Totally. Totally.
But yeah, a lot of and there's absolutely true. It's like you have to be so focused that they haven't even thought about the second thing. And the sad thing, as you said, is like if they're injured and they have to leave sports, some of them think the funny thing is when they're like, "Oh, I'll just be a commentator." It's like, no, not everybody's a commentator. Like you can't.
Oh yeah.
Everybody,
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, oh, I'll be a coach. And you're like, well, are you that smart with the sport? Or are you just good at playing it?
Yeah. Or were you just physically gifted? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you think so? Imagine yourself. I'll go baseball because I think I'm going to say that's the major four. That's your sport. I know you like other sports too, but let's just say baseball because it's the same cities in most sports. But if you were just imagine if you were a player in baseball today and you retired, and we asked you, and just supposing upon what your least favorite road city was, what do you think most athletes would say?
Oh, I feel like I've heard people shit talk certain cities.
Sure.
And for various reasons, like I feel like Philadelphia, right? Because of the fans, right? Like I heard, like no matter what sport you're doing, Philly fans are among the most of the troglodytes that exist in the world, like just the worst people.
Did Sandy put you up to this?
I didn't. No, I never told her. I didn't tell her how much I dislike Philly. I mean, the city's fine, by the way. It's the fans in the city, though. Like, there's nothing wrong with the city.
I've been to Philadelphia. It's a beautiful city, but like from everything I hear from basketball and from baseball, the two sports that I really watch a lot, it will be commentators being like, well, these fans are a bit rough around the edges. And I think Boston's got some real racist fans. So
you would not be wrong. Allegedly, Matt. Sorry, allegedly, but probably would not be wrong. I think with Boston, like being the last major league team to have integration, like the Red Sox have to never live that down, and they have to unfortunately have to accept that too.
And the Red Sox had a chance to sign Jackie Robinson, right? Like he tried out for the Red Sox, and they said no.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
there is a legacy there. I mean, I know it was a long time ago, but there is a history there.
Yeah.
You don't get to live that down easily,
No.
Well, what about all of you? Like, what are the? I was like, all right, if Philly was a controversial one for one of you, what are the other cities then that have like?
I got to imagine, and I've heard this too. I don't imagine anybody likes going to Cleveland.
No. You talked about that earlier. Yeah, that's
I've been there. It's a tough town to, especially if you've got money, you want to have a good time on the weekend or whatever. Like that wouldn't be number one on the list on anybody's choice of places to go. I wouldn't think.
Yeah. I think in hockey, a lot of players don't like going to Winnipeg. I don't think.
Right.
I've heard that.
Yeah, that's sad.
I get it.
I mean, it could be true, Matt. We know.
Thursday, so that sucks.
No, it's a great place. It's a great place. I just have heard. I think part of it is, it can be cold.
Right.
But in any city, I think a lot of it depends on where you're staying. Like where your hotel is, where the nightlife is, what fun you like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if you drop the name Matt Kippen anywhere in Winnipeg, you're going to be great. You won't be able to buy a drink. Like
what about Sandy Joe Bevins? You'll be a meal. You want a drink? You want a meal? Depends.
Yeah. Roll into Ray and Jerry's, drop Sandy Joe and Bevins, you'll get a steak.
Amazing. Let's see how far I get. Just a bunch of people being like, this guy owes me money.
Yeah, that probably
more like it. I would also think if I was an NBA player, maybe Salt Lake City wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
You look forward to going a lot. Everything shuts down at 9 p.m. You know, I
What
can't
about
imagine
you
that.
about like the altitude cities, like the ones that
Denver.
physiologically mess with you, right?
Right.
Like I feel like those are also good candidates of cities
Yes.
players don't love going to, like Colorado probably.
That's absolutely it. Denver's really messes with guys' games for sure. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah, yeah. It's funny because now we currently have the Coyotes moving from Arizona to Utah, and people saying like, "Oh, can't believe you'd be in Utah," but it's like you might get people to watch your games. Like, like that can be a plus side. I mean, I just if you're gonna
Yeah.
go to a fan base, but I mean, look. Once Vegas started getting teams, it's pretty hard to compete with that on the road.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
let's bring this back. And is there anything you think we missed on this?
Oh yeah, thanks, Matt.
Yeah, there is for sure something I want on the back of every athlete's player card, and there's two things.
Okay.
One, what is the baseline tip? Like when they're out for dinner, what's the minimum that they are going to tip on service? That I want to know. The
Nice.
second is, what is your yearly? I want their friggin' tax return. That's what I want. I want their notice of assessment from the CRA or whatever the American equivalent is. I want to know how much money these dudes are making and then compare that to how much they tip.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Very
great.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
I love the Met. Like I want to know real weird specific things because I'm like that tells me your character. That tells me something that I want to know, which is how generous are you of a person to those in the service industry?
Interesting. You know,
Yeah.
one that didn't make it on my list, but maybe this would have helped me is what would you play for? Like, what's the minimum that you would play the sport for? Like, we know what you're getting. How much do you love this game, and what's the minimum you would play for?
That's a great one.
I should have done that.
It would tell you a lot about them too to see how in touch with like working people they are. You remember years ago when the NBA went on strike and they asked, I can't remember who the player was, they asked him like, what do you think normal working people make? And he said, I don't know, 350,000 a year. And that was like, it was a decade ago. And I remember being like, oh my God, like you have no idea what people like, what life is like. Like you're not in touch with, I'm sure some are, but
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you just, no matter your profession, once you sort of get that elite status, regardless of what you do, you lose touch. Like, I think that's why there's that concept of like, no one should be a billionaire because the people that you surround yourself with are equally as delusional as you once you like, the higher the income bracket you hit, the less things are real.
Yeah.
Would you have just saying yes to you all the time? You don't actually know what real life is like.
Yes, exactly.
Would you accept just percentages? Like if they said to you, okay, here's what we'll do. You know, we've talked to the players union, they pushed back. So here's where we're landing on the back of a card. We'll say, you know, normal service, this is the percentage we tip. Great service, this percentage. And would you be okay just with a percentage?
I would because like they're athletes, so I'm sure they're getting freebies, right? Like they're for sure getting things comped. So I want to like, you know what? No, I changed my mind. I want a dollar amount.
There you go. Okay, good.
Because what's 30% of zero? Right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
And if they're getting freebies, I want to make sure that the people around them are getting treated right. And if they're not, then people can spit in their food.
Yeah, that's a free. It'd be great. Okay, this is obviously we're just blue sky here. We don't know. It'd be great if it was like, okay, Topps is having this contest on the back of the cards this year, whatever sport you want. Well, let's just say it's hockey for the heck of it. So it's like, hey, we asked all these hockey players, what would they play for in a season? And they all answered. And in the small print, when they signed this contract, the union agreed, we're going to randomly pick one of these cards, and that person has to play for that amount of money. And the rest of it goes to charity. So it's like, you had $1 million contract. You said you'd play for 15,000. That's what you're playing for. The rest is going to charity. It's like, well, I'm the guy who said I would do it, you know, whatever it is.
I would love that because I would love to see who continues to play at whatever level they play at and who's going to be the guy to be like, well, I'm only going to play 20,000 worth rather than $1 billion contract. Like that's what I would love to see because I think that's a big part of it. Like I think I was this is going to get me in trouble. But I was talking to a friend about the offensive woes of the Blue Jays recently, and I was like, just theorizing. I'm like, what if someone like Vladdy is offended by that the fact that every single time he has to head into arbitration because the Blue Jays don't want to pay him? And I'm like, what if he's just not giving his 100% because the Blue Jays aren't giving him their 100%? And I don't think it's like I think that's a little like Delulu conspiracy hour with Ann Pornell, but like a part of me wonders when any athlete gets kind of lowballed in their arbitration or in their salary, how much of that comes onto the field? How much of that goes onto the ice? Like what motivates athletes if it's not pride and also money?
Yep.
I think
you've seen guys dog it in the past when they feel they're being underpaid or
Right?
the team is holding out on them or whatever. It can get really ugly.
Yeah.
they feel underappreciated. And when you say like, and especially when it's like a downturn in economic times, and the guys are like, I just feel underappreciated by the team. I wanted 15 million and I got 14. That doesn't go well with the public.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the one place you see it a lot is not even on the field. It's like, hey, we're doing a fan appreciation thing. Can 5 guys come out to this thing? Those guys are like, no, I'm fucking not coming out. You didn't pay me money. They won't do the extras. There's none of the extras. There's none of the. They kind of just they won't do anything else for you because they're not feeling like they're appreciated, as they say, or rewarded enough. Which I know it's a bit of an eye roll to most people. But
You know what? I'm like, I feel like in my career, I have felt that way. And I am not making $15 million. I'm making like $100 per show, like in live theater. Like, for example, Second City. Like,
yeah.
if I feel like I don't like management or management is not treating me with the respect that I think I deserve, I for sure am like, well, no, I'm not going to post on social media or I'm not going to do this because I think there's some truth to it. We all want to feel respected and appreciated by the people that we work for. So like if it happens at a very basic, cheap level, like Toronto comedy, I can imagine that would happen for sure in professional sports.
Yeah, you feel like you'd show up for your cast members, but you're not showing up for management anymore. And I get that. I totally get that. Yeah. Well, this has been a deep conversation in a lot of ways, friends. It's not just the back of baseball cards like you thought you were getting, a hockey card, football. Well, no. And ultimately, on every show, we've kept all these teams anonymous, so you don't know which one is team 1, team 2, team 3. Which of these teams would you like to select? And I can read all of them back to you if you like. If you want to think while I'm doing that, or you're feeling it? What do you want me to do?
I'm feeling it because I've got it right on the side of my screen here. So I've got the questions. And I think the one that for me gave like juicy juice. It gave me the drama and it gave me the sex appeal and it gave me that nostalgic factor was team 1 because we didn't even talk about the junk adjustments, but I would also like to know. That is relevant information for me as well. So I'm going to go with team 1.
Team 1, and the one who enjoys the junk adjustments the most is Matt Kippen.
That's me.
There.
I actually, when I went, we can interpret that any way you want. I was thinking maybe if somebody read it and went, wow, I had 300 on-camera junk adjustments last season. Maybe I'll cut down on that, or maybe I'll go more. I don't know, but it was just sort of
Matt, I was going
to know that stat because I'm like, how cognizant are men when they do that?
Yes.
Right? Because I know there are some dudes who it really is a tick. I know some guys, but there's also some guys that I'm like, I don't know, man. I think you just want to touch it.
Well, who was it who slid into a base one time and got dirt in their and like took their pants down and started brushing out the dirt before realizing
Steve Lyon.
Oh, yeah.
It was Steve Lyon.
Steve Lyon, that's right.
I'm gonna look that
up. Well, Matt, I mean, you don't collect junk adjustments; they just come to you, right?
That's a gift we all receive.
Well played.
And you're about to go. What season is this now on the baking show? Like, what are you at now right now?
So we're at season 8, heading in this May, and we're starting in a couple of weeks. So yeah. And we just recently got shouted out by Vanity Fair as like an underrated show that people have to watch. So I was like, wow, we got like shouted out in the States. That's huge.
That's
yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, and you deserve all this success, and the show is great. You're a wonderful person, wonderful host. co-host, I guess we're saying. And but we really appreciate you coming on the show because you bring that energy. And Mike's still auditioning for the part, and hopefully you'll get on it, Mike. You don't feel intimidated by Anne?
One of these days.
One of these days, baby.
You'll be a regular on this podcast. It's the dream of the dreams.
I won't dream. Yeah, that's right. Hopefully.
And please come back another time. We'll get you back. It was a while. We'll get you back next year. We'll get you back.
Happily.
Thank you so much.
So great, Anne. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're back from our judgment. It was a fun time. This was a fun episode. Nothing
Very
too
fun.
serious.
Very
We got into all sorts of fun stuff. The back of the cards.
No deaths.
No deaths. We skipped the deaths. And Frank,
I think
want
that's
people.
one of the first episodes without deaths.
I think that's nice, right?
That's right, yeah.
But Frank, to bring life to this podcast, we want to get people listening.
Yeah, we got to like
and we want to like and subscribe.
On our YouTube channel. Yeah, This Day in Sports 8. Go to YouTube, find us there, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Yeah, and comment too, right? Get some interaction going on the Instagram.
And if you have an idea, let us know.
Yeah, of course. If you disagree with things we say, agree with things, new ideas, what draft you would like to see?
Yeah.
Put that out there on the socials.
And maybe we can, once we get enough comments, we'll get somebody to be involved as a guest.
I like that. I like that idea. That idea.
Yeah, you can be part of the show.
That's
Come be part of the show. And first step to doing that is to like, subscribe, make sure you're out there listening and letting us know you're listening by doing exactly that. This has been This Day in Sports for May 7th. And Matt, I'm Sandy.
Sandy, I'm Matt.
I'm Tim Spoony Barger.
Oh, no. Oh, Mike. Mike's here. Matt's here. Sandy's here. Frank's over there in the bullpen.
Yes.
In the bullpen.
Yeah.
Not the Ellen's...
the riffraff room.
Not the riffraff room.
No, he's in the bullpen.
Nice.
With Johnny Dickshaw.
We're all here. Mike's still giving us some porn names here at Cabin. Check out cabinforlife.ca, our sponsor. And, of course, check out This Day in Sports 8 on Instagram and YouTube. And we'll see you soon.